Hi everybody, how's everybody doing out there? Rick Koppel coming at you from Denver, Colorado with another episode of Analytics Guru Guy. And today we're going to look at TileOS once again. I know because there isn't much documentation on how you change things, how you do stuff on it. And so wanted to give people an idea of how to do that. There wasn't standard stuff on there. And yeah, so we're gonna do that right now. So one thing I want to talk about on this is we looked last time at TileOS. I think we looked a little bit how to install it, or I installed it already. I don't remember where. Excuse me a second while I take a drink. I don't remember which. I clear my palate there. So yeah, this is live stream by the way, so expect weird things like that. Anyway, um, yeah, I'm getting distracted by my wife texting me over here. Some pictures of her driver's license and stuff like that. So pardon me while I work on getting oriented here. So we have that, and then we have yeah, I wanted to tell you a little bit about TileOS. We just looked at basic stuff last time. There's some things to do. There's one thing I wanted to mention specifically, and that is that I tried to. You remember I had some problems with the volume button. Also, if you haven't looked at the first version, TileOS that I did, the links down below in the description. Anyway, I had the volume bar kept popping up and increasing until I got to 150% of volume. Which of course doesn't work very good when you're looking at that kind of thing. So I yeah, yeah. So anyway, I got that in and I figured out what was causing it. It wasn't the program at all. At least I don't know it's the program. Because I have this mechanical keyboard over here. It's a good keyboard. It's a Republic of Gamers. It's over here in the front of it. And it's a nice keyboard and it works pretty well except for it has a couple of quirks to it. One of them is it shuts off. Yeah, when this shuts off the power saving mode on this, it also shuts down your whole system on the computer. You have to put some codes in a certain place to keep from doing that. And anyway, there was a keyboard that was sitting out for some reason. I don't know, it was a coincidence that it just happened that it started sending out signals. I have to test on some other software and see for sure if it was a keyboard only or if it was a keyboard adjustment with the software. If you have one of those keyboards, you might want to hold on to keep it from using it with TileOS at least. Seems to work with all other distros I've used. Didn't have that problem, but never know what's gonna happen to you. So anyway, I figured that part out. Doesn't appear to be a distro where I got a regular wireless keyboard on there right now, and it seems to work fine. No problems with the volume at all. So that's how I fixed that problem. So now we'll look at the rest of it. What is TileOS? TileOS is a Debian-based distribution. It features Sway as its shall we say flagship desktop, and Sway is a window manager based on Wayland. Based on Wayland. In other words, you have to use Wayland for it. So your files may vary. You may want to have something like KD installed so you can make sure you have X11 when you need it. Like I do right now with this program, I use X11 when I do streaming for this on OBS because of the keybindings and stuff will only work on the window you're on in Wayland. which kind of complicates things a bit. So, yeah. So let's check out this system. Now what you have to do, we'll switch over to our screen over here on this computer. And you'll see that you have, I have a different background on this. How did you get that on there? Well, it's actually quite simple when you think about it, but it may not be quite obvious. So I'm gonna go. Now I learned something else too of interest. That is, if you push your super key and your enter key, you get the standard, I think it's X something, terminal. But anyway, if you press shift super key enter, you get the foot terminal, which is made for Wayland, basically. Like that. Ta-da! So I have foot set up in there, so I have a bigger print than standard, because I like it that way. And so you can see it too, probably easier that way as well. Anyway, we're gonna go nano. Also, I did my nano thing, the nano adjustments to this. Basically, for those of you who don't know, Nano's a text editor, and it's a standard text editor found on most distros. But Vim is also a text editor found on most distros, or a lot of them. And Vim is a little bit more tricky to use if you're not familiar with it, whereas Nano's a little bit more familiar in a way, because it uses odd key bindings for everything, like Control K to cut and Control U to paste, and all this kind of weird stuff that you're not used to. But it's at least it has a description at the bottom of what you can do with it, that kind of thing. But I have adjusted it so that I get it to look like I want, and I don't look like I want, but also it uses the key bindings I want. So check it out. So I can use Control C to copy, Control V to paste, Control X to cut, those kind of things. Standard key bindings you'd expect. So the only thing I don't is the Alt A to start a mark on it, and then you go, and when you finish, then you hit Control C to copy, or Control X to cut it, or whatever. So anyway, let's oh yeah, nano config file, yeah, that's right. So it's a .config sway config. Most of you probably looked at this file and go, what the, this isn't sway. At least not standard sway config file. But what it is it's a modular version of it. So it includes the modes and basically everything that's in there. You see it pulls from etc directory quite a bit on the front of it. And variables, see it pulls variables, a lot of variables. Now a lot of this is done by variables. Can't even say it right. Variables. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Thing right here. Variable. There you go. So yeah, so it pulls this sway variables from etc, and it finds a lot of variables there, and then it pulls the extra variables from home that are in there. Why does it do that? Because variables are used quite a bit in this situation. Most of your programs are in variables, and that's one you have to be aware of. And it'll pull outputs and inputs. That's like your output, it's like your screen. So it defines outputs there. Inputs is like your keyboard and mouse and your touchpad if you're using a laptop, that kind of thing. And then you got modes, which defines different things. We'll look at those in a minute. And then you have additional configs, auto start, sway theme, window rules, etc. And this, etc. etc sway big d dash decomp. So pulls all this information in from. Now the reason they do this, I think, predominantly, so that you can set up your own configs and stuff like that. But when they go to input it, I mean, when they go to update their own system, they'll update everything in etc, but they won't touch any files you created in there or in your home directory, which is where most of your files will be. And then if you want to change a program, say you want to change a default program, like your browser or text editor, you can just reset the variable for it here in your home config sway variables.d. All you have to do is give it a name, any name you want, and then that, but it has to have comp on the end of it. It has to be in that variables.d folder. So yeah, that you will adjust. So you can change any setting that way. You can also add in settings through that spot. That's key interest there for you. Key. But we're going to show you how to do the background. I don't think you see it in here. I think it's in the etc config file that it has it, but I'll show you what. That's it. This is it. It's the totality of the config file for that. So yeah. So it also includes outputs and workspaces if you have any different more of them in there. So yeah. So that's how the config file is put together, and it pulls all the information in from other places basically. Now, well, I need to change your background. Let's get to that real quick. Okay, now change your background. Now do ls or okay. That's some aliases I put in there for also change this. Now you notice this little program right here. The Zote background. What it does is in the etc config file, I think, or one of the other files that it pulls in from there, it sends you over to this back to do backgrounds. It's not actually a file in config that's put in there, although you think it is because it's in there. You plug in a different location, nothing happens. It's because it actually is where the actual background is changed. It's a script file, ZOTBG. All in your home directory as well. And there's your wallpaper change. So I did a little adjustment to this because it just had it had all this right there in the wall. So I put wallpaper in there, and so I have an easier place to set it. And this is from Tina Lenny Smith. Fall. And you can put whatever file you want in there. So like say you wanted to put a different picture. What I do is I have a whole bunch of backgrounds I throw in here. So what I do is I go here, let's go here. Okay, better, it's easier to do it from here, I think. Computer, okay. So I go over here to pictures, background, a whole slew of them over here. I'm just gonna pick one. Like my Cow Creek photos. This is personal photos I made of Cow Creek. So let's just like select this one for instance. Open. Copy it. And then should be able to go over here. Should be able to nullify that for a moment. Okay. They said a Cow Creek. There, yeah, your Cow Creek. Now when we reset and reload the what do you call it? Big file? Yeah, thank you. Then we'll be able to see what's on the config file, right? Be able to check it out. So, see to reload the config file, you push Shift and Super and C. Yeah, doesn't seem to happen. I have my own way of doing this. Now, there's some interesting ways there's one more way you can do this. You'll see when I look in my configs, this has a setting where you can press Super Shift E to end it, end the whole thing. Okay, appears locked up. Power back. There you go. I'm gonna log out. And change it. Thought it would change it, but actually run that. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. Hold on a second. I don't know why I didn't change the wallpaper. Apparently, yeah, load this one or something. I don't know. Hold on a minute. Be right back. Okay, I'm trying to get whatever's out of my throat. So, it seemed like you did. Not sure why. Let's see. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did supposed to do something. Probably something to do with the what I put in there. Let's see. Home rip background. Oh, it's got that in there still. Oh, I forgot to save it. That's what the problem was. Ha ha ha. Funny, huh? Okay. Move this in. Sorry about that. Copy. Paste over here. That should work, right? Should. Now we'll go there. Now we'll exit it out. Now we can reload the big rich file. It should change. Let's log out. This is my own little program I made to do that pretty quick. There you go, Cow King. Change background. Just like that. Cow Creek, by the way, is a little creek out by in central Texas. And there's one spot where there's flows over some rocks like this, so it's kind of pretty. So I was out taking pictures trying to help the guy get a cover for one of his books. So here's what I got, Cow Creek. So that changes your background when you change that. You have to do is remember to save it. Then it works better that way. Yeah. So, and apparently you have to also just go in and go to, you have to log out and log back in or something. Apparently just reloading the config file didn't do the trick. I don't know why, but apparently it didn't activate that script or something. Probably just run the script yourself if you knew what it was. So. At any rate, that's what it is. That's how you do it. Now you can, if you wanted to, you could, install on here SameMate program. That program that works. Can't think of it now for some reason. Oh, it's under pressure. I'm not very good with under pressure stuff half the time. So, at any rate, there you go. That changed better now. How do you add in programs? Say you want to add in some programs. I've already done so I'll show you what I've done. Alrighty. Now let's go to, let's go to our home directory and I can tap right. Yeah, notice we have like two directories, a config D and a variables D. And we have our config file. So what's in variables D, you wonder? I wonder what's in there. It's my own variables I set up basically for my programs. Let's go to there. For variables. Okay, so you have a README file that tells you some information about how to do this kind of stuff. And basic information. Then I have a user system, so I added in a few things. Or one thing or something, I don't remember how many is actually in there. Yeah. Trying this out, I haven't got this to work yet in here. Set focus on move to true, which is supposed to, whenever you move a window, you follow it. You follow where the window ever went. It's usually what you do. I set term foot and I set term font for hack 16. That seemed to work very well. Not sure why. And those are all terms that are defined in other places in the etc directory, and they're supposed to set them up so that they work here. But haven't verified that they work yet. But the other ones work alright. I'm not sure why those don't. But okay, now the user program bars, those are the ones I set my programs in. Yeah, and here's where I set my browser LibreWolf, word processor LibreOffice, writer, spreadsheet LibreOffice, calc, email Thunderbird, and home files. PCman FM dash QT. I have to add the dash QT on there because this is what runs in here. So I found that out after trial and error a bit. So yeah, so that's how I set. So when I brought my files up there, I press Shift D. Where we put that at? Well, that's in the file, obviously. Aha. It's in the comp files, basically. Those are those programs. Now I think I don't remember. I had some trouble with LibreOffice for some reason. I think I need to uninstall it and install a regular version. I think I'm going to put a weird version of it that requires more information and just dot dot dash dash writer dash dash calc spreadsheet and word processor. Anyway, yeah. So yes, right. Now let's go into the comp D. Big D that is. There's two things. There's keybinding.conf and keyboard.conf example. Obviously, we're not using that because anything that does end in .conf, doesn't get pulled into the thing. So it's an example there. But let's see what we got. And keybinding.conf in here, and that's keybinding set for those systems. Alright. Okay, so yeah, that's where my mod B. That's a window key, basically, super key, whatever you want to call it. Mod plus B executes the browser. Supposedly, if it works right, Control Shift W and Control Shift D would execute word processor spreadsheet. Mod E executes home files. And Control Shift T executes email. The only thing I don't think I have Thunderbird installed on here. So let's go through that, make sure I have it. And this works like we think it will. The key bindings for those things I added though into system, so that's how I added in the thing. Alright. Now one thing I wanted to show you on here is let's just say we wanted to already have a mod B in there, right? Executes browser. So how do you figure it out though if you want to know if there's any other mod Bs, any other various module files are all over the place in here? That's part of the problem, isn't it? Well, let's see, I know we have a shift mod somewhere in here for B for something else. That's changed that. So find sims. Then we want to mod plus a shift plus B. Let's say we're gonna run, oh, what program I want to run? Let's see what params we have in here. Okay. Let's say we want to run Strawberry music player with this shift key. You ready? So then you put that in variable and the other thing. We'll call it music player. Music. Just like that. Create a variable. And yeah, so on shift B. Now there's already on shift B, I'm pretty sure, somewhere else in the big files. We'll just see what happens when you go here. Control S. Q. Now what should happen when you hit reload the apparently it's gonna first. I thought there was a mod shift. See what happens if you put Strawberry Music Player in the file. Nope, I pressed the wrong one. The other terminal. So we went to here. And we want to go CD. This way. And yeah. Keybinding.com. Like that. So, whoever wrote that, MEM, mod M. There's probably mod M somewhere here if there isn't. What I was wanting to show you is if there is a binding already here, let's say we take out shift. Okay. And we'll put a music player or steps for music players going to be in the file. And we'll do we need to put a what in front of that? We need to put nano, that's right. That shouldn't happen. So it's not right. Oops. We need that. Okay. There's a keybind, just fix that. So change that. Now we're gonna go to the variable. Sorry, my fingers are a little bit. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Finally there, huh? That is it there. Three strawberry. Now, if you're wondering, is that the right command? There's two ways you can check on that. One is just to go open up another terminal window. And we'll which strawberry. Oop, yeah, it'll be strawberry. See, there it is. That's the name. When you put in strawberry, it'll shoot that off. It should work. Strawberry, yeah. So music player strawberry should set that off. And then we do save it. Good. And we then can reload. And there, yeah, there are errors in your config file. Wonder what it could be. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. So you toggle details over here, and you see it says warning on line 6 and config D 30 keybinding.com bind sim mod B music player overriding binding mod B for device to strawberry. So that's what you in conflict when you have conflicting key bindings where you have same key binding on more than one thing. So say okay, well let's want to fix that, so you can go terminal, you go to go to see a easy way to fix this, like maybe no, we can't copy that. It'd be easy if you copy that and you paste it and just go right straight to it. Anyway, and then you go into here and you go, you have to get this right. These are very specific. I want everything to do just right. So now let's see if we put a shift in here. Oh, we had a shift somewhere else, but it didn't give that error last time we did it. Maybe. Better yet, let's see if there's a in. Sure there's a mod M somewhere. I don't remember what it is, but I'm sure there's a mod M. So I'm gonna add shift to it just in case. So we'll see if that fixes this problem or if it runs another conflict. It's a tedious process sometimes when you're trying to figure out what key binding to use so it won't conflict with other key binding somewhere else. Sometimes I have certain key bindings I like they initially had the browser, the mod B to be something different, so I shifted over to a different thing over there. And I put music player in there. So anyway. Okay. Now let's go. And we'll press. Why do we do that? Do this. No errors that time. We do mod shift M. We get music player. Nothing happened. Wonder why. Sometimes it takes time for it to happen. Well, could be a problem with there is another key binding somewhere that it's not telling us about. Yeah, or more likely thing is we spell music player two different ways. So, at any rate, that's how you do it, but yeah. Music player is capitalized. It should work, I think. Let's have open. Okay, so let's see. .com variable. Oh, that's what the problem. Very hard. Put nano in there, but music player. Oh, that's all the same as far as I can tell. Let's try it one more time. See what happens. What you can do, sometimes there's a problem with the program itself being launched this way. I'll show you what you can do about that here in a second. But, okay, so Had some of my ones in there. Hmm. Pause me with me while I think about this. Oh yeah, strawberry. Sometimes you just run the program like this, which is what it does basically, and you see why it will work that way. It worked there. There's a lot of stuff, weird stuff worked there apparently. So, what's the problem there, you think? Well, yeah, let's X out of this then. So that works that way, but strawberry, so I just want to make sure we spelled strawberry correctly. You already done that, I think. Strawberry. Pretty simple word, huh? Yeah, well, I guess I figured that out. But anyway, it should have worked. That's how I got the other browser and the PC file manager work. It's through that process. Basically, I set up a variable for it. Then I put in a adjustment for it. It's for the key binding in the config file part. For the config file, then my key bindings. So any personal one, I can reset things. Now you're supposed to be able to should work. So I'll show you something else here of interest. CD display. And there you have. Why am I selling that? I went TCC. I went there. I'll put ERC. Can find that. ETC. There you go. Now, sway. Now, notice you have some more various things. You got a config file, which is traditional config file for sway. But if you go in there and you change anything, may not necessarily change that because of some of these other things later on, variables and stuff like that, set it up. So one of the things where I want to show is in modes. Your default config, your recording config, resize config, scratch pad config, and screenshot config. Each of those have the configurations for those various things in it. So the default config has what do you think? Default program job. So let's look at that real quick. That's okay, so there you have your default config, and this actually has a lot of stuff in it. The terminal is run through there. That's how you PC. So the terminal commands that you have, and here's the term. So if you want to change, you need to do two things. The easiest thing would be just to switch that. So you set term CW to foot if you wanted only one. You want to use this mod return for that. You switch this one around. So then you put term to set term to in your variables files. Set term to foot. It's already set to foot. Excuse me. That's set it that way. So, but you just go in your home variable files and set up hey like. You want the foot to be there, you run that, and that'll run that. Be there, leave it there, whatever. Here's where your kill window now. The original default configuration for kill window is mod shift Q. I adjusted this. The only thing real change I made in this section etc now. If they ever write this with another update, it'll change it back to shift Q, I'm sure. But so then what I can do though, and put this in a variable mod Q kill, put that in a variable, and then I could well, there's not really a good way to do this. So if you put a variable here, it's going to essentially move it over and wipe it out eventually whenever it updates this file. So yeah, probably the best thing in that case is just to go in and change it. Like just mod Q to close out and kill windows like I do. I do it that way because I don't take two fingers, one hand. It's easier to do than put it down the bottom and shift Q with two fingers and hitting the other Q with the other finger, another finger, third finger. So just reduces down the number of fingers I have to use to close windows, and close windows all the time. So we want to make it the easier step. And that's awesome keybinding I'm used to, so I always change it over there. That's not set to be on Q. Some people use mine C on close. It makes sense, and that mine quit also makes sense too. My K would be kill, kill, kill. If you want to do that, you can do that. Anyway, that's what I have there. That's the only change I made in this file with Shift Q. Now you can go down here. Let's see, you got exit sway. This is where, oh yeah, this is the other change I made to this file, which I may have to change at some point and add it back in if I want to. I added bind sim mod X execute term -E sh -c and then bin log user out. That's a script I have. And what it does is it pulls it into the terminal and then take you to the script. And the script I have there is log user out. It's one I created after some research on how the best ways to log out and stuff like that. So I can, a lot of these programs you have to go click 4 times before you can get out of your program. You can do whatever you want to do with it, reboot or things like that. So I created this and I can use that. So there's this natural way. Mod control E will give you the NWG dash bar. That's this bar that appears right here. So control mod E. Give you that window there. But we aren't gonna log out now. So then you got media keys that raise and lower your volume on your volume keys wherever it says it, up, down, up and down, up and down. It's where it does that. This sets those. This is where some reason the other keyboard was triggering volume up all the time on a regular basis. So I kept getting these volume log problems. And you got your brightness control, you got others, which executes the menu, that's the rookie menu. That's what's said in that menu file. And I need to adjust that because I don't like having combined run and derun. I just derun, basically. It's easier for me to deal with. So off the system. So power's off, touchpad, toggle, input type, touchpad events, toggle enabled, disabled. And screensaver lock. Moving around, here's where it says all your moving around keys. How do you get around in there? Bind, up, left, down, up, down. What I say in some of these arrows, these arrow keys here. Yeah, you use arrow keys or you use the Vim keys. And these are the Vim keys here because they said what the key goes in these variables. These are the actual what do I call it? Arrow keys on your keyboard. So yeah, move post window. To their key, navigation. Switching between containers and workspace. Slash switching use workspace. And here's their moving around your workspace. 1 through 10. And how you move a container to a workspace. 1 through 10. Oh, here's this launcher. It's like you click on this button up here. It just gives you scripts to do all this stuff. Whereas tells you how you can move a focus window to a new workspace. Or you move focus window to a new workspace and switch there. So want to open up a new terminal, a new workspace. I've had like another terminal. Let's bring up that. We want to move that to another workspace, a new workspace, empty workspace, and follow it there. Then we would put in mod shift M. There's mod shift M. There's why immediately it can't work there. There's already mod shift M, but it didn't give us that error for some reason. So yeah, it won't work now because we have the other conflicting thing there. Yeah, what you could do probably, you could have a yeah. That's why that shift M didn't, mod shift M didn't work, because we got conflicting with this. It didn't tell us that. But I was hoping it had a. So yeah, here's your tile floating windows, toggle between tiling and floating. Swap focus repair window. Help. Tile help is just a mod question mark. It's pretty simple, and you just press toggles the help window. I didn't show you, well, I showed you the help window last time. It's dynamic, actually. Mod. Oh, yeah, question mark after that. So mod shift. Question. It's there, but you can't tell it. So I gotta, it's covering it up. So anyway, I'll show you that in a minute. And that's the end of that. So these are default ones. Now you can just go in and put in anything you want. Like say you wanted to adjust the help file. So you can put in you said variable. I said example. Yeah, just this. And hit a button there that triggered something. So what you do, take term CWD, underline CWD. Okay. Now you go over here. And we want to do there. Sorry guys. It's filling her up for some reason. Okay. Let's put this in. What are we gonna do here? Oh yeah. Set is term underline WD put. Okay. Now let's go back and change keybinding on that one we did. Okay. Let's see. The letter we can add. Maybe we should just change control. Oh, there's not a control somewhere. Okay. I mean, it's not setting anything for keybinding term because it's already set in the main file where it pulls it from. Change anything in that file, we change in the variables section. There's your help file. Change in variables section, the whole what the command, that variable term underlying CWD, where that goes to. Now this is a help file. You want to push question mark tile help on off, or you can toggle it up here in this spot here. Your like mouse section's better. Now this is dynamic. You notice here in the kill window it says mod plus Q. It did say mod shift plus Q in there when it was had that. When I changed it to shift out, it just had mod Q. Okay. So now let's log out, log back in. I don't even see any errors on that. Now mod control M should give strawberry. One strawberry. Not working, is it? Must be something else with control. Anyway, you have to figure out what one's works, what one doesn't, that kind of thing. That's kind of hard because they're in different files. Or you can just go to the different variable files and do searches on it, like you can go to variables and let's see, this gives foot. We just hold on foot. Get the foot terminal instead of the other one that we had. So you're going to, oh yeah. So you gotta go to etc sway and yeah, it is. Oh, CD. And you gotta go to variables, that's right. And you can do, yeah, it's unraveled since we didn't put pseudo nano. So we can find out if what is in here and what isn't. It should be all the variables per minute. So when it goes variable file, I'm going to search on it. And then we do mod plus oh, plus M. It's not found. Spell control correctly. So it's not found. I don't know why it's not working. Should have worked. It's not. But Anyway, that's how you do it. I'm not sure why it didn't work that time. Something I did wrong somewhere, somehow. Just put control in there. Uh, oh, there you go. That's how you should do it. That should, you have to unpack, make sure all the words are the same, spelled right, and they're all the same way, spelled the same way, with a capital C, control, and when you do all that, then you get it right. So yeah, that's the cool thing about it. Sway, sway. So, at any rate, that's what we got for that. Let's see, was there anything else I was going to show you? I guess that's about it. I'm going to show you keybinding, touching background, and I'll show you how to adjust things in here. So you can see it's kind of a hit or miss thing sometimes. Sometimes you have to work with it for a while. Check out what's strong, whether I think which LibreOffice is in there. So did I switch that? So we go LibreOffice. Nothing happens. There's a problem that happened. I think when I went to, oh yeah, that's the other thing to show you. How when something doesn't work, how to figure out what the right command is for it to work. So you go to user share application. Here's all the different desktop things you have. So we want to do LibreOffice. You see it's up there. Start center, rough XSL T filter. I'm just gonna probably install what LibreOffice out of there. I think LibreOffice Common, but I've got installed here. And when you get that, Common, then Uma desktop. Oh, that's a word. Oh, that's a program. If I use that QT on the end. At any rate, they looked at these things, and they, so you want strawberry. Here is my fancy program. Find it. Yeah. Directory. That tells it to look for regardless of case. Then take case into consideration in that case. So there is straw and desktop. Oh yeah. And I put here what we want to have happen. So all. They use all of these. And it found Strawberry Music Player, Strawberry Desktop. Let's Word. That. And sudo. Actually, we don't need to change anything in. We just need to look see what's in there. We're just going to do nano. And paste that in there. There's strawberry. There. The exact files volume that tells you what the command is that executes. Strawberry. That basically is supposed to transfer whatever file you like you have a file where you do that. Where you have a file and you right click on it, select strawberry as the place you want to play it, and that will pull that file in. And it's just secondary tracks that strawberry should work. And it should work because we worked there, worked here, worked when we typed it into the thing. So, for some reason it's not working. I don't know why. It should work, but it's not. That's some ways you can look at, see what your problem might be. Just type in the name of the program like I do with LibreWolf, right. It's obviously not what works there. If I look in there, there's no writer, there's no word processor for writer listed here. So, you have problems with that too. So with that said, I guess we'll end this thing for another day. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. Yeah, it's a little bit different, organized a little bit differently, but it's basically the same stuff. They did it differently so that you can change things. And that's your helpful thing. So there you go, that's it. Oh, I never even turned on my lights, did I? I'm in the dark here. My face is a little dark. I'm gonna turn right in so you can see me better. Ta-da! And then over there. So that is TileOS. It's some ways it's not easy, but it did make it easy for people who like mouse programs. They gave a menu that you can click on and it'll pop up all the programs in there. Give you help files so you can easily see what things, yeah, and also does automatic tiling, full tiling window manager. This way usually when you change directions you have to think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's Mod Shift B and Mod Shift B. You want to change directions on the way it's tiling. Otherwise you just put it all go sideways like that until you don't do a horizontal one. It does all that for you. See, watch this real quick. So it goes there. Yeah, it does it alternatingly like that. That's thanks to that script file they gave in there. So, that's it. That's what we have for today. Let me double check, make sure nobody's joined us and that kind of thing and said something, said hi or something. I never said hi back. No, howdy, Rick. Steve. Howdy, Steve. I knew if anybody's gonna do it, probably you, because you're retired now. So, good to see you, Steve. And sorry I didn't get to say hi back. I don't have the setup so that I can see the chat very easily, unless I do a lot of pulling it out of the thing and putting it in the screen over here. So that's that is my deal. So don't forget, if you like this kind of content, you want more of it, press subscribe. If you have any comments about the video, anything like that, you can watch it down below. You can make comments on it down below. My mind is not all here today, I think. So, yeah. Yeah, you should enjoy this, I hope. And we'll do it again next time for another distro or something like that. Or just some random idea I have. Who knows what'll happen. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.